What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So I sent the email out for the winner for the $100 gift card, and I have not heard back yet, so make sure everyone's checking their emails. And if I don't hear back by, I guess, by tomorrow, Sunday, I'll probably have to redraw and then move on to another person until I get a hold of someone through email. And of course, when I do get a hold of them, I will go ahead and put it out on Twitter. I was thinking about what we do for the next giveaway. I think instead of one $100 gift card, we'll just do two $50 gift cards. That way that there's two winners then, and it's, I guess, more likely for someone to win at that point. But we're starting that now, so if you want to check the link in the description, you can enter there for a chance to win a $50 gift card for any one of the shops, I guess the eShop or the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Store. So check that out down below. Of course, this is the Saturday show, so I like to go back through the week of Newswave and see what you guys had to say based on all the different topics we talked about, which there was a good bit of stuff that happened this past week, which had a lot to do with EA getting in trouble in Belgium, and of course the Anthem Chart and Nintendo's fiscal year and everything. A lot of stuff to go over there. So as always, guys, enjoy these videos. Hit the like button, it does help out. We're gonna start today with Final Fantasy VII, because Nintendo put out a trailer that showed Final Fantasy VII on the Switch. Yeah, it was kind of a weird thing to see, because of course we're not used to seeing Final Fantasy VII on a Nintendo platform, but hey, there it was. The thing that seemed to stick out to a lot of people is that on YouTube, with the description that they had set up for that advertisement, it said Final Fantasy VII was coming soon, and this sent people kind of flying all over the place, thinking it was coming very, very soon, or maybe sooner than Final Fantasy X, X-2, and 12, which are slated for April. And I wouldn't be surprised. I kind of talked about how I figured 7 might be the first one that releases, since out of all of them, let's be honest, Final Fantasy VII is like the most iconic out of those Final Fantasies that would release. Whether you think it's overrated or not, it's the one that a lot of people remember and maybe even had their first 3D RPG experience with, was Final Fantasy VII. So I wouldn't be shocked. And of course, it's probably just going to be a digital title, so it's not like they have to stock it in stores or anything. I don't expect any type of physical release, again, unless Limited Run Games wants to do it, and I would like to see that. But it's most likely just going to pop up on the eShop, or, well, they'll announce it and then it'll show up, it could even be a week or two later. Either way, though, it'll be cool to see when it shows up, and you can see how excited people are for Final Fantasy VII. I've Final Fantasy VII like 5 different ways at this point, including on PC through Steam. So I've played it several times. I'll get it again, like I'm sure most Final Fantasy fanatics will, and we'll look forward to 10, 10-2, 9, and everything. They just got to get 8 figured out. And starting the week of Newswave, we'll start with Monday. We saw GameStop cancel several pre-orders for a special edition Kingdom Hearts 3 PS4 system that did not go over well with fans. We also saw a new Dragon Ball Z RPG revealed, currently dubbed Project Z. Mizu says, Phil Spencer talking about E3, Blinks 3 confirmed. Yeah, you know what's really funny about the Blink series? It's one that I played back on the original Xbox, and I really liked it. You can actually like rewind time and everything. It was pretty cool. I think that could actually work like in today's gaming like space. I think that would work well, actually. And I'm trying to think of how it would fit in with something like the Xbox One crowd. I would like to buy it. I think it would be a good competitor for like Ratchet and Clank, although Ratchet and Clank's kind of been on a bit of a slump itself. But that would be really cool to see Blinks, and of course seeing what they can do with like the newer consoles, some of the time reversal things that they had. And of course Blinks was not an easy sell as a character. Like, Blinks was never like the Xbox mascot or anything like that, but that would have been really cool to see that happen now, a Blinks 3. So, I mean, I'll keep it open. I don't know if they'll go that route. However, they did Super Lucky's Tale randomly, so, I mean, why not? Let's see what Blinks can do in, 2019 or 2020. Ralph Wood says, they offered me, I assume that's GameStop, they offered me $17 for Fallout 76. That is a ripoff. Ralph, you almost ripped off GameStop. I'm actually surprised, to be honest, they were offering that much. Although, I think they're still selling Fallout for like full price now. I think it was just on sale for a while there at like $30 at a lot of places, and now it's climbed back to $60, and it's like, it's like used for $50 or something. So I think that's a bit much for Fallout 76, considering people were worried at one point after a rumor was circulating that they could be going free to play. I guess GameStop is just marking it with the amount that it's worth now, but I don't know how many people are rushing to buy that game. I would be curious to see how many they have in their drawer of just new stocks. I feel like they have a lot of Fallout 76 going on in there. Tuesday, we talked about the recently released Switch firmware 7.0.0 that added new language options to the default layout, as well as new user icons. We also saw Epic grab another exclusive to their store in Metro Exodus, which will now not be sold on Steam 2 weeks prior to launch. Dark says the Epic Store has like 5% of the features of Steam, and their lack of user reviews is highly anti-consumer. Their signing exclusivity deals just fractures the player base and does the consumer a disservice. Exclusivity is not competition if they sold it on both Epic and Steam, but Epic sold it for $10 less. That would be competitive. This is just disgusting, especially this close to the release, so they pull it from Steam but still get the benefit from promotion on Steam and using the Steam forums for bug support. Yes, that is something a lot of people pointed out. Yeah, they use Steam, great advertising platform there. A lot of people probably even pre-ordered it. Those will still be fulfilled, of course, and they did technically talk about a lot of things on the Steam forums and everything, and go look at those Steam forums that they had up on like the community pages. No one was happy. Everyone was really mad about what happened. Deep Silver even posted there and said, hey guys, this is why we're doing it. It didn't work out well, and people started review bombing that game, which probably doesn't really send that great of a message, to be honest. I don't really know why people were doing that, because it doesn't exist on Steam now anyway. I mean, it does, but it's not being sold there anyway, so I don't know why they'd care. The problem is, yes, Epic is snapping up a lot of these games before their store is actually ready to host them. And by that I mean, you're right, there's no way to do user reviews or reviews in general, and sometimes that really does help. I know sometimes they're used to just, like we just talked about, review bombing, and they're not used correctly. Other times they are. There are times where you can warn people that this game is 3 hours long, it's just long enough to get past that refund period, and then you're stuck with the game. So there are good times that you would want that, and it's weird. Epic's game store is kind of bare bones compared to Steam, probably by a good bit, and they are just buying up exclusives to make their service worth it. That's what happens in this landscape, though. Epic Games knows that they had to come out swinging, and they are. I would kind of look to Steam and be like, hey, maybe you should start doing something about this, because at this point, Epic Games is just pushing Steam around, and Steam is used to being to the default, but it doesn't matter if a place like Epic Games either waving the money around or waving the promotion around. Remember, some indie developers went to Epic Games because they're willing to put them on the front page, like, what was it, Ashen? That was a good example right there. Wednesday, we saw EA fold in Belgium over selling loot boxes for real currency. At this time, you can no longer buy in-game currency in FIFA in Belgium. EA says that they will continue looking into the matter, but it's pretty clear they're not interested at all in fighting it in the courts. Piranha Plant was also released in update 2.0.0 for Smash Bros. However, several users reported there was a very strange glitch that had their saved games corrupted. AVM says if every country would do like Belgium, then we could finally go back to the golden age of gaming, where you just pay for a game once and you can unlock everything for free. So you're obviously talking about how back in the day, when we didn't have these live services where internet was always connected to your system, you go to the store, you buy the game, and that's it. Everything is in the game. You have cheat codes, which barely exist now, by the way. There used to be cheat codes in almost like every game. If there was a game where you could enter your name into it, rest assured, there was some combination of letters and numbers that would just do some crazy stuff in the game. It was pretty cool. Now, you kind of pay for cheat codes almost, whether it's extra money or leveling up faster or items or cosmetics. Yeah, cosmetics used to be something you unlock all the time. Not so much anymore. And it comes down to what you're asking for, essentially, is that government gets involved everywhere. That's kind of the issue. A lot of people don't want that. And I'll tell you why. When the government gets involved in something like this, and there's a lot of money involved, which there is, government doesn't stay out of it. They stay in it. And people are worried that the government they'll be there for a while and they'll really get their hands into gaming. And gaming could change for the worse at that point. And that's not what anyone really wants. So what we really want is the ESA, for example, to regulate themselves and tell EA to cut it out. But they won't, probably, because there's a lot of money coming from EA. And the ESA, of course, is getting quite a bit of money because of this stuff existing. Stephen Miller continues that conversation saying, just imagine if our government stepped in and started banning loot boxes as well. It will force EA to work harder to make better games if they want to survive. So this is the biggest thing about EA in particular. There are other ones, obviously. Ubisoft is one. But the biggest thing about this, Rockstar is a huge example, is when they discovered that microtransactions and live services can make them a ton of money, they stopped pushing as hard for developing. So they're not developing as many games as they used to back in the day, which means, of course, we get less creativity and variety in our games. And if you just go back and look at like the year like 2000, 2001, 2002, right in there when the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox were really, really moving along, EA was churning out a ton of games every year. I'm talking like 30 plus games a year. Think about that. It was insane. Like they had a lot of the good ones, of course. You remember all the sports games that have kind of turned into, we talked about loot boxes, but I mean, we had some of the 007 games early on in that GameCube PS2 life that was pretty good. Even the late PS1 and N64 007 games were pretty good. Outside of even GoldenEye, like the World Is Not Enough was actually pretty good. But then you get things like SSX Tricky, Need for Speed Underground 1 and then 2. Underground 2 was awesome. And then you get into things like Carbon and then Most Wanted. Not the newer Most Wanted, the older Most Wanted that was cross-gen between the Xbox and the Xbox 360. Think about like The Sims. The Sims was like this massive phenomenon that took place. That was EA. And now we're to the point where, yes, you're getting FIFA and the basics, and then you're getting an Anthem that's probably going to last constantly. I mean, think about if EA had the rights exclusively to Star Wars back in the 2001, 2002, that 5-year span between 2000 and 2005, they would have made like 40 games for Star Wars. It would have been out of control because they probably would just made Star Wars games. And now they can barely get out, 3 in a 5-year span? It's insane. And yeah, you're probably right. The loot boxes and the microtransactions have really slowed down production of games. It's bigger than ever now. And I really don't want to hear that it's because games cost too much to make, because the return is obscene. $800 million in a year for microtransactions and loot boxes. You can kick out a few more games, I think. Thursday, we saw the financials for the holiday quarter released by Nintendo, showing the Switch reaching over 32 million systems shipped. Their first-party offerings were also massive, with Smash Bros. Reaching over 12 million copies just over 3 weeks. Xbox also had a weird issue that day that had several systems hang at a blank screen at boot up after Xbox Live went down. David Parrish says, internet connectivity is just one of many drawbacks to digital only. The only benefit to digital only is the sales they have on games and ease of access, but that's it. So there are a few other benefits. Obviously, the fact that you don't need shelves of games, or if you have a system that you travel with, you don't have to take all of your games with you. And I mean just for any of them, because some people do travel with their PlayStation 4, whether they have to go from household to household, for example. You don't have to take like 20 games with you at a time. If they're all in your system, or they of course have been purchased on the store and you can re-download them, it's a bit more practical than having a ton of games. Obviously, it makes a ton of sense with a portable system, whether it's a Switch, a Vita, a 3DS. If it's digital and it's just on there, you don't have to carry them around. That makes sense. There are also times that we're seeing more now is that a game needs a massive patch day one, but if you buy it digitally, you don't need that patch because the game is already pre-patched. It's weird, but we saw it with Black Ops 4. We've seen some of it with Red Dead Redemption 2. Fallout was one. It's a very odd thing where the game that they ship to stores is not the same game that you download digitally. So if you pop the disc in, there is then a massive update to download. Call of Duty was like 20 gigabytes? It was something insane. 20 or 30 gigabytes. And it's because the whole game on the disc just had to be completely redone. It was weird. So there are some benefits, and it seems like most of these developers and publishers are leaning more and more into that digital space. Finally, on Friday, we saw a ridiculous chart released by EA to explain when Anthem will be available for you depending on the version that you buy. Nintendo also mentioned to investors that there would be an unannounced game revealed in fiscal year 2019 that will delight fans. Kevin says, game that Nintendo fans will love. Well, I'm convinced Mother 3 confirmed. Of course, I knew people were going to say Mother 3, and trust me, I would like to see Mother 3 as well. However, I don't think they would have been talking about Mother 3 to that extent in Japan to investors, because Mother 3 it's been in Japan for a while. Like, they even put it out on the Wii U. Like, it's been there. That's nothing new to the Japanese gaming scene. That's basically tradition at this point. Oh, Mother 3? I already have that. It's fine. But if it's, of course, in the West, it would have been a bigger deal. I don't know if they would have hyped up a Mother 3, but I do think it would create excitement, and then it would sell, I think, pretty well, but nothing like groundbreaking or massive. But of course, it would get everybody off of Reggie's back at every E3 at that point. You wouldn't have to keep answering the question, where is Mother 3? A Nowhere Guy says, a 2D Zelda game, maybe it will be the Zelda 2 remake successor I've been hoping to see for years. Although I really doubt it, since I'm probably one of the 10 persons worldwide who would love to see a new Zelda in the style of The Adventure of Link. I'll at least give you credit. That is different than what most people want. I think a lot of people wanted a Link's Awakening remake. That would have been amazing to see on the Switch, right? Like the top-down traditional and everything, 2.5D, whatever you want to call it. And of course, better visually than what we saw on the Game Boy, obviously. But if they took that, moved it over, and it was this really beautiful looking top-down Zelda game that was, it doesn't even have to be exact same, like a reimagining even of Link's Awakening with, you know, similar bosses and puzzles and everything, people would go crazy over that. That's one of my favorite Zelda games, and I know Oracle of Seasons and Ages is technically a better game if you look at it, but something about Link's Awakening, it really just stuck with me from back in the day. If they did that, that'd be awesome. Even if they just did a whole original one, I'd be happy. I just miss the top-down, traditional style Zelda game. Even A Link Between Worlds wasn't nearly as traditional because you could technically do the dungeons in any order you want. Still though, a top-down Zelda game I think is a massive deal to have in 2019, and I hope they have it. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for the Saturday show. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's Final Fantasy VII. Is that the one you want to come first, or would you rather just get 10, 10-2, and 12, get those all situated, and then look towards the PS1 games like, you know, obviously 9 and 7. Also, let me know what you think about EA's little chart that they made up for Anthem, I guess, and then what do you think that Nintendo unannounced game is? Maybe you do want Mother 3, and that's fine. I'm curious how you think it'll do down below. And then, of course, what about a Zelda 2.5D top-down game? Would you like that? Thanks, guys, for watching. I'll see you later on tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Spawncast.